Hello there, and welcome back to another edition of the Oner First Thoughts. Okay, I just got back from seeing Nia DaCosta's 28 years later, The Bone Temple. On First Thoughts, we do not do spoiler talk. This is just our first initial thoughts, just general impressions, general feelings, and then we get into spoilers and deeper analysis on the podcast, so you can keep an eye out for that a few days later. That should be out in a few days, but these are just, I just got back from the theater. I just got home from seeing it. My initial feelings are, this is now a franchise, 4 films deep, and it doesn't have a bad entry. All 4 of these films work to some degree or another, and they're all competently made. They're all well written, well acted, and they all have different themes that they're exploring and a lot to really enjoy. One thing I really like about this franchise is how each film has its own visual aesthetic stylistically. Danny Boyle directed the first and third films, and they definitely have a decidedly Danny Boyle-esque kind of style to the filmmaking and to the way that the things that he likes to do in the editing room and things that he likes to do with the camera. But I would even say that Danny Boyle takes decidedly different stylistic approaches to the first film and the third film. He's doing different things in 28 years later than he was initially doing in 28 days later, but they sort of live in the same kind of like going from cinematic to handheld, almost like mini DV style filming. And then 28 weeks later, the second movie has a more cinematic feel than the first one. And similarly, Nia DaCosta's film, The Bone Temple, has a more straightforward cinematic approach than 28 years later, the first of this new trilogy. But I would say that all 4 films have their own feel to them stylistically and aesthetically, which I think I really appreciate that. I appreciate that it's a franchise that doesn't feel like it's repeating itself, doesn't feel like it's engaging in fan service at any point. There's no, like, you very rarely get the sense that the filmmakers are looking at you going like, remember this thing from the other movie? Remember when this character said this line? Now this character's saying that line. Every movie, every entry in this franchise has its own things it's trying to say and is exploring different themes. I'll say that of the 4, where would I rank The Bone Temple? I don't know. I would say I think that 28 years later, as a film, is more emotional and has more heart to it than The Bone Temple does. The Bone Temple is decidedly a much more brutal film. It's probably the most bleak and brutal film from just a violence and gore stance in the franchise. I don't know that it's ever gotten quite this dark before, and that's saying a lot. I mean, this is a post-apocalyptic zombie franchise where it's bleak. Like, zombie movies are bleak. The world that they exist in is bleak, but there's stuff that's going on in the Bone Temple that is some of the darkest and most kind of upsetting, visceral gore and violence that we've seen in any one of these films. And that could maybe be, I could see how maybe it could step over the line for some viewers, where it could be like, it was too much. They pushed it too far. What I think is impressive that Nia DaCosta manages to do here is, while this is one of the most bleak and one of the most gory and violent entries in the franchise, it's also one of the funniest. Like, there's all this humor in this film, and you feel that tone coming in at the end of 28 years later. The end of 28 years later is a very emotional movie. It's this like coming of age film about this young boy and his growing, process of growing up and understanding his parents as real people, and this story, this journey that he goes on with his mother. And 28 years later, The Bone Temple, it picks up right where 28 years later leaves off. The end of 28 years later, and I can say this because we've already covered this one, has Jimmy, played by Jack O'Connell, showing up with his gang of other Jimmies, and the tone shifts dramatically in the last couple minutes of that film. So much so that a lot of audience members were like, "Well, I really liked the film until the last 5 minutes. It was so weird because it all of a sudden turns into this like almost like kind of goofy and silly, weird. It's a very jarring tone shift. But then we sort of live in the bizarre, weird, goofy world of Jimmy and his gang for most of the Bone Temple, but it also exists in there are these scenes between Ray Fiennes and this character. I don't want to spoil it. There's humor in this film. One prediction that Kramer and I both made when we did our predictions for the biggest films of 2026 is we both said we expected this film to have yet another standout great performance from Ray Fiennes. I think we were both right in that prediction. I kind of can't believe that neither one of us predicted or mentioned that Jack O'Connell was also probably going to like dominate this movie. Obviously, like Jack O'Connell was just sort of set up at the end of the first one, so this was going to be his film. And I don't know that either one of us like mentioned that like, oh, Jack O'Connell's pretty iconic and pretty great. He was fantastic in Sinners. He's really good at playing a great villain, and this Jimmy character seems really primed for him to like really sink his teeth into it and make something out of it. And boy, does he ever. He is just absolutely electric and insane and just such a total maniac in this film, and kind of terrifying. And, I found the movie incredibly entertaining and a thrill ride from start to finish. And it's also got a great ending. It's got a really great, really exciting ending that made me feel like, bring it on. Bring on the third one. I'm ready for number 3. Those are my feelings in general. I'm excited to dive into some of the deeper philosophical themes that Alex Garland is exploring in this script. I really like the way that Garland has expanded the world of this story and this universe and the things that he's doing with this world. I already felt like he was pushing the world into new interesting directions with 28 years later, and he just goes further and expands on that even further here, and has a lot to say about religion and faith and human myth making and how we regard things that are bigger than us and hard to understand. And the film is grappling with a lot of heavy ideas and really heavy subject matter. And I think Nia DaCosta ultimately does a good job of holding all of this heavy, brutal stuff in a container that ultimately feels entertaining and fun and makes you want to come back for more, even though it can be at times almost unbearably brutal and almost unwatchable at times. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Interested to hear what Kramer thinks. I haven't talked to him yet, but let's turn it over to him. Take it away, Kramer.
Thank you. 28 years later, The Bone Temple. What are my first thoughts on this film? Well, I really liked it. I thought it was really good. It was definitely not what I was expecting, which is the exact same thing that I said about the first movie 28 years later. It was not what I was expecting, but it turned out really well. This is kind of the same scenario. It was not what I expected, but it was really good. I was expecting a little bit more out of Jimmy. I think that I was hoping that there would be something a little bit more with him, and something I wish it was pushed a little bit more. I wish we kind of got a little bit more into Jimmy and kind of push that a little bit further than they did. I mean, all that said, he is a very interesting character still. And Jack O'Connell, I forgot his name. The actor who plays Jimmy is amazing. I mean, he was awesome in Sinners, and he is awesome in this as well. The very interesting character. I think they could have done a little bit. I think they could have pushed a little bit more. But having said that, thinking on it, it was really good. I really enjoyed. I mean, Ray Fiennes is just an amazing actor, no matter what. And it was really cool to see his story and what was going on in his life at that time. Now, I don't want to give anything away. I'm not going to give any spoilers. but his story and then Spike's story. I also wish that Spike was a little bit more of the focus. He was a little bit more in the background than I kind of wished he wouldn't have been. I wish he was a little bit more in the forefront. But again, these are all things that I was kind of expecting, and thinking back on it, it still works. It's still really good. And the end of this movie, there was some pretty interesting stuff that happened. I thought it was Ray Fiennes somehow pulls it off. Just again, he's probably one of the best actors living right now, but he did a great job. It was weird, but also great. And I am excited to get into this with Austin to see what he thinks about it, because I think there's a lot that we can talk about, a lot that we can dig deeper into with Jimmy, and with Ray Fiennes' character, and with Spike. I can't say too much because I don't want to get into too much of the spoilers. If you saw the last movie, you'll know Jimmy, and you'll know that he's kind of, some of the thoughts that we had about him are pretty accurate, which we'll get into. I don't want to spoil anything. So if you have the opportunity, I think you should go see this movie. I think it was done really well. This movie was the first one shot with an actual cinematic camera, instead of doing a digital camera and kind of having that look and really, really shaky and really kind of frenetic and crazy. This movie was much more mainstream in regards to the look of the film. And I actually really liked it. I thought it looked really good. I liked having that. I didn't, they still kind of do like a different shutter speed and a different shutter angle, to kind of give you that look that the infected have had in the previous movie. So it's still kind of there. But it just looks a little bit better. And I liked it. I thought it looked really good. The movie looks beautiful. So a lot of really great stuff. I am also very interested to see the third one in this franchise. I really am excited to see how they can wrap it up. And I hope that they wrap it up. I hope they just end it, with this third film. But I thought this was a great entry. It's still adding a lot of very interesting things. It was a lot more intimate for this movie. It was it was pretty focused. It wasn't taking a lot of time. It only takes place over a couple days, probably. But really good, really interesting. Nia DaCosta did a great job with a lot of the things. Some disturbing stuff, some really high tension scenes though, and she does a great job of interweaving all of that together. So really fun, not a really fun movie, but it was a really good movie. I enjoyed it. I'm excited for the next one. I hope it comes out. I hope it continues to do well and it makes money at the box office, and they actually make the third one, because I'm excited to see what Danny Boyle does, and how he's going to finish this all off with Alex Garland. I'd hate to just kind of end everything right here when they're setting up for something else. So let us know what you thought of the movie. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was there too much zombie things going on, or not enough zombies in there? Let us know what you think. Comment below. Let's start a conversation, and we will